Hello and welcome to the daily English news program on Azərbaycan Televiziya. With your host, İlham, with most important events of the day. President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, İlham, and First Lady Mehriban Aliyeva attended the ceremonies at Baku shipyard to sail away academic Aliyeva and to launch the Azerbaijan RoPax-type ferry boats, inaugurated the world's first tanker museum Surakhani, and attended the opening of a new administrative building of the Azərbaycan Caspian Sea Shipping Closed Joint Stock Company.
President İlham and First Lady Mehriban Aliyeva took part in the sail away ceremony at the Baku shipyard of the academic Aliyeva vessel built by the order of the Azərbaycan Caspian Shipping Company Closed Joint Stock Company. Then the head of state was informed about the first ship ferry Azerbaijan of the RoPax type. The uniqueness of this project is that for the first time in the Caspian, ferry vessels of the RoPax type will be put into operation. The first RoPax ferry vessel called Azerbaycan will carry passengers, cars and railway cars. In total, since 2013, as a result of the renovation of the fleet, 18 new vessels have been purchased and put into operation. President İlham and First Lady Mehriban Aliyeva attended the opening of the world's first tanker museum, Surakhani, in Baku. Along with the development of shipping in our country, a number of projects have been implemented to preserve the traditions of seafaring and study its history. The creation was the support of the head of state of the Tanker Museum Surakhani, which combines the past, present and future of seafaring in Azerbaijan, is another important step in this area. The choice of the tanker Surakhani as a museum is not accidental. This ship was one of the largest and modern tankers of its time. The head of state and the First Lady were also informed about the sculptural composition erected in memory of the selfless Azerbaijani sailors. The authors of the work are folk artist Rövşən Məmmədov and Ali Ibadullayev, and the architect is the distinguished architect İlham. The cultural composition made in the form of a dynamic figure as the ship's propeller cutting through the waves of the sea. Then President İlham took part in the opening of a new administrative building built for the Azerbaycan Caspian Shipping Company Closed Joint Stock Company. It also houses the Witness of Three Ages Museum, which introduces visitors to the antiquity of the seafaring profession through visual aids and interactive presentations. During the construction, maritime symbols were widely used in the exterior and interior of the building. The building, equipped with modern technological systems, has all the conditions for effective work in all rooms.
With the end of the Karabakh conflict, new transport lines that will expand in the region will provide a new impetus to the development of all countries in the region. The Zangezur corridor appears to be particularly effective from the perspective of ensuring cost-effective and flexible communications. On February 26, at a press conference with local and foreign media, President İlham stated this corridor meets the interests of both Armenia and neighboring countries. In short, a new transport artery of Eurasia may emerge.
With the termination of the conflict, the opening of all the new transport routes in the region is seen as an important condition for its future development. Undoubtedly, transport corridors, which were given special attention both in the trilateral statements and in subsequent discussions, will become a significant impetus for the economic development of the countries of the region.
The post-war period really opens up new opportunities, creates unique opportunities for cooperation, mutual trade, opening communications, creating new transport corridors. If we look at the Zangezur corridor alone, we can see that it meets the interests of not only Russia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Iran and Armenia, but also of other neighboring countries. So a new transport artery of Eurasia may be opened. If these positive trends prevail, then of course each completed project will lead to a new project.
The new transport map clearly shows that Azerbaijan will become an important hub. However, the new corridors will serve the interests of all countries in the region. Rail service between Iran and Armenia, appearing from time to time on the agenda, is also losing its relevance against the backdrop of new prospects. In the current situation, the Zangezur corridor will simplify Iran's communications with Armenia. Moreover, Azerbaijan will have a railway connection with Nakhchivan in Turkey and Russia with Armenia and Iran through Nakhchivan. At the same time, rail service will appear between Iran and Armenia, as well as between Turkey and Russia. These are just a few links in the regional transport network. In general, we're talking about transport and logistics cooperation in the Caspian and Black Sea regions. All analysts believe that the new transport and communication networks will accelerate economic development in the region and will become the main guarantor of long-term peace and security.
The press conference of President İlham Aliyev, which lasted more than 4 hours, is still in the spotlight of the world's leading mass media agencies. The publications extensively reflected on the President's views on the patriotic war, on the pitiful situation in Armenia, on the return to Karabakh, as well as on the work carried out in respect to the vaccination in Azerbaijan.
İlham Aliyev stated that Armenia, despite the internal crisis in the country, has to comply with the statement on ceasefire. An article with such a headline was published by Spanish FA agency. Quote, İlham Aliyev assured that if Armenia does not fulfill the terms of the trilateral statement signed by presidents of Azerbaijan and Russia and Prime Minister of Armenia, it will find itself in a more difficult situation. End of quote. President of Azerbaijan stated confidently that all the prisoners of war will return to Armenia. More than 60 of Armenian military personnel are terrorists and therefore they are not considered prisoners of war. French website La Gazetas refers to the words of the renowned doctor of political science Sébastien Boussois. In the article on the heading Situation in Karabakh After the War and Peace Building, Sébastien Boussois states that Azerbaijan claimed victory in the 44-day war and resolved problems which remained unresolved for many years. French Atlantico publication prepared reports from Ağdam and Zangilan regions liberated from the occupation. The reports state that on the initiative of President İlham Aliyev, the trips of foreign journalists to the territories liberated from the occupation are regularly organized. They dwell on the atrocities committed in Ağdam and touch on the fact that in the future, Zangilan will become strategical hub of the Silk Road. Website Le Journal Général de l'Europe published an article under the heading Restoration of Nagorno-Karabakh will provide impetus for the advancement of relations between the neighboring countries. The author noted that President İlham Aliyev undertook sufficient steps in this regard. The report of the Croatian journalist Hasan Haydar Diab, published in the newspaper Večernji List evening newspaper, emphasizes that during the 44-day war between Armenia and Azerbaijan, Armenia fired Scud B and Tochka ballistic missiles at the Azerbaijani city of Ganja and BM-30 Smerch missiles at the city of Barda. As a result of shelling, dozens of civilians were killed. According to the International Convention, the use of Smerch missiles containing cluster bombs is prohibited. The journalist also emphasized that Armenia's attacks on the cities located hundreds of kilometers away from the front line were condemned by international human rights organizations. He notes that by attacking the city of Mingechevir, Armenia pursued the main goal to destroy the largest water reservoir in the South Caucasus, thereby causing a large-scale disaster. The article emphasizes that Hasan Haydar Diab is the first journalist to visit Fizuli, Cebrail and Gubadli regions, the zone of violent clashes during the 44-day war, stressing that Armenia has been exploiting the natural resources of Nagorno-Karabakh, which is the territory of Azerbaijan, for years. The journalist recalled that the Armenian side also engaged in deforestation. The materials distributed on the websites of the Turkish Anadolu, IHA, Sputnik Turkiye news agencies, Haberler Portal, TRT Haber, Haber Turk CNN, Haber Global, A Haber, NTV TV channels, Yeni Şafak, Hürriyet, Post Milliyet, and Sabah newspapers were published under the headings President of Azerbaijan Aliyev, who will create a small model of the Turkish army in Azerbaijan. Great appreciation from Aliyev of our army, who will create a small model of the Turkish army in Azerbaijan. Statement of the President of Azerbaijan Aliyev on an attempted military coup in Armenia. President of Azerbaijan İlham Aliyev, Turkish army is the most acceptable model for us. Message from Erdogan and Aliyev to Armenia. Important statements of President İlham Aliyev and others. Russian TASS, RIA Novosti, Interfax, Vestnik Kavkaza, Regnum news agencies, RBC, Russia Today, Vesti, 360 TV channels, Аргументы и факты, Независимая газета, Коммерсант, Известия, Российская газета, Взгляд newspapers, Life and Lenta websites widely commented on the words of President İlham Aliyev about the situation in the region after the Second Karabakh War, reconstruction work in the territories liberated from the occupation, the vaccination process in Azerbaijan, and the implementation of the trilateral statement. Romanian Ultima Ora, the last hour newspaper, and News 24 Hours news portal, Greek company Real Group Media, Ukrainian Observer, Podrobnosti, Stopkor, Bagnete, TSN, Dialogue, Correspondent, Polemics news portals noted that the press conference of the President of Azerbaijan played a big role in terms of bringing important messages to the world community. The materials emphasized that at the press conference, President İlham Aliyev accurately, clearly, and logically answered journalists' questions on various regional issues in 4 languages. It is emphasized that the President of Azerbaijan is a strong and charismatic head of state and a decisive leader. The Xinhua National News Agency of China, Central Television, and other media structures of the People's Republic of China extensively covered the words of President İlham Aliyev regarding vaccination. The Chinese media specifically highlighted the view expressed by the President of Azerbaijan on the fulfillment by the Chinese partners of the obligations to supply the vaccine.
The 29th anniversary of the Khojaly genocide was extensively covered in Italian press. Electro magazine and La Voce Repubblicana newspapers, as well as K-Metro Zero portal, published materials regarding the course of this tragedy. Video report prepared by Ask News agency in regards to the massacre was disseminated by more than 14 media outlets. In addition, the portal Inside Over published an extensive article entitled "What is the Khojaly Massacre?" The article provides information about the history of the Khojaly tragedy, the victims of the Khojaly tragedy, which is remembered for its brutal atrocities against humanity. References were made to the decision of the European Court of Human Rights and the statement of the Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe on this bloody crime. "125 infections with the novel coronavirus were registered in Azerbaijan. 71 people recovered after treatment and were released home. 3 people who earlier tested positive for COVID-19 died. The overall confirmed cases in Azerbaijan have reached 234,662 with 228,839 recoveries and 3,223 deaths. The number of active infections is 2,600. Detecting infection cases over the past day, 4,205 tests and overall 2,602,884 tests have been conducted in Azerbaijan, the task force under the Cabinet of Ministers reported. So it was all for today. Thank you for being with us and see you next time.